so it's just something to set the mood for the game. But when you start talking or something important is about to be discussed, I'll probably pause the music just for that.
Okay.
All right. So we're getting ready to do it live here right now. We're going to do it live. So let me get my live chat notification open. Let's see if this is showing up on my freaking Facebook page right now. Yeah, looks like it's coming up, open. Let me get my live chat notification open. Okay, that's open. I'm going to share this out in the CoCo Facebook group.
Yee-hoo.
Yeehaw! We're going to go to the CoCo group. One person watching live right now. That's probably me. All right, let's share this again.
That's the best.
What do I know? CoCo Crew. Okay, we'll share it in the CoCo Crew podcast. Why the hell not? What other group should I share it in? The MC10 group, maybe?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, so they can see what a real computer game looks like.
Nice.
That's not nice. That's not nice. Honestly, didn't Jim Gary make an MC10 clone of this?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure he did. Davey Mitchell's here. Hey, Davey Mitchell.
That would not surprise me at all.
Yeah.
He pumps them out really fast too. He's got his formula down.
All right, so we're here. No, Diamond, I got the maps. I got somebody asking me about one of my Facebook episodes. Not Facebook, my Minecraft episodes. All right, so we're here, and we're going to go live. And if you're watching this live, make sure you share. Let me go ahead and just pause the game. All right, hey, Paul, say hi to everybody.
Hey, guys, how you doing?
All right, so we're joined by Paul Thayer, one of the CoCo brothers. And we're going to be playing Paul's game, Timberman, on the Color Computer 3. And brand new installation of the disc. Here we go. I got my joystick left and right. So, Paul, explain to everybody what the object of Timberman is.
So, you may have seen iPhone, Android apps of this same thing. But the premise is you're just going to cut this tree down that never ends while dodging the branches left or right. Then you get certain score levels and certain achievements, and you unlock different skins for your player.
Okay. And for those of you who are watching us live, there is a description on the YouTube and the Facebook videos what will tell you how you can join the Zoom call if you want to join. All right. So, for example, I'm going to chop down twice here, chop down twice here. Now, and I just got killed. One of the deals here, right, is timing, right?
Absolutely.
And there's...
Yeah, the one thing I didn't mention is you got a timer bar on the bottom, so that is going to continuously go whether you're chopping or not, and you counteract that by chopping. Now, as you progress through levels, it gets increasingly faster each time you level up.
And I'm playing this on the Tandy Deluxe joystick, which is not the best controller in the world. And for those in the CoCo community, if you would like to get a copy of this, I've made it real easy. I've put a link on how you can contact Paul, and it's on the Retro Swag Shop. So if you go to 8bit256.com, there's a link there where you can email him. What was it, Paul?
Paul.g.thayer@gmail.com. I'm working on trying to get. I wanted to put it up on a website for ordering. I need to find something that will allow me to do a marketplace that isn't like $200 to $300 a year to have. So I'm working on that because I think it's a little bit difficult for people to get the game by emailing me, but it's okay. Once you email me, though, I do send you a download site that you can log into and download the game directly from there and then start playing while you wait for shipment. So,
and right now I am up to 100. So one of the things it is counting is it's counting your number of chops.
Yep.
Right? And then there's certain characters you can unlock by reaching certain chop counts.
Yep.
Kind of like unlocking skins.
Yeah, so there's a few things that it keeps track of. So it keeps track of your current score in your current game. That also adds to a cumulative total of all of your games, how many chops you've done. So you could have, like, for example, 6,809 chops for all of the games that you played. It also keeps track of your last 3 high scores, because some characters are unlocked by getting 200 chops 3 times in a row, for example. So if you break that, you have to start all over again for getting that character. And you are about to get the green guy unlocked because you have gotten to
Scun of a biscuit, scun of a.
Yeah, it's a tough game. Yeah, your reaction time has to really increase.
Rendezvous, the Timberman is so. Ken says, "Yeah, Ron looks good in plaid."
Can they hear?
Let me find.
Can they hear this out there? The sound from the game.
Yeah, they should hear the chopping sound, which it's not terribly loud. So, and I will.
Yep, and
I'm gonna maximize the volume on my feed from my CoCo 3 so they can hear it.
One of the things that happened in this particular run of Steve's game is he did unlock somebody. So to let you know that we not only had an audio cue of the lock unlocking, but there was the padlock
here we go.
there. So now you have the
green shirt.
Guy.
I just unlocked green shirt, but I like the guy who looks like Rendezvous, so I'm gonna stick with him.
Those two, there's 4 or 5 characters. I think there's 4 characters from the original game that are slightly modified. But then there's 3 others that are original that I made specifically for the color computer.
Right. I'm going to switch to my camera for just a second to show them the packaging too. So if you were to order the full package of Timberman, it comes on a very cool custom SD card that you can plug into your CoCo SDC. It comes with a very nice, cool, glossy manual that you can. You kind of open it, fold it, and read it. Lots of pretty pictures. It's very glossy, very well made, nice packaging. And so this is if you get the deluxe version of the game. You can get the glossy manual and the custom printed micro, or not a micro, but a full-size SD card. That'll go straight into your CoCo SDC. You pop it in and you can do it, or you could just, run it on an emulator, whatever floats your boat.
Also with that package, you get a PC game that I wrote, Hotel Elevator Man, which is a platform puzzler.
Oh, my live chat thing just screwed up.
Uh-oh.
Okay, we're back. I think. Okay.
So,
and because I switched screens, the live chat thing, the chat history just got lost. But as soon as somebody chats again, we'll get it going.
Know Ken will.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, so I have increased the volume a little bit so you can hear the chopping sounds a little better.
So I thought you were going to try the Sega D-pad. Did you go against that?
No, well, you suggested that it was better for the deluxe,
oh, yeah.
So I'm going to just keep it on the deluxe for now.
Yeah, I like to have the self-centering mode on, but I know some people prefer to have it loose, like a black.
Yeah, I like it
loose.
A
Black Beauty. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's a particular controller type that would be any harder to play this with or not. I know like a mouse is pretty simple, and the classic style joysticks, but I don't know how a D-pad would react to it. So
I think Jason the CoCo Man was using one of those like flight sticks, like it looks like an airplane joystick where you kind of hold it, and it had like the button, the thumb button was on the top, so you could just kind of move the stick from left to right and just mash your thumb on it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Which
I was originally thinking about having it just be a 2-button thing where you press one button and you go left, and you press another button and you go right, but I decided against that way early in development for a couple of reasons. Not everybody has a 2-button joystick, and for 2 you're going left and right, as opposed to like with the deluxe there you have the button 1 on the top and then you have the second button in the back, so it's like it was up and down as opposed to left and right. So I thought it might be kind of weird for your brain to go through that conversion,
Yeah.
so to speak.
Hello, Blake Hughes on Facebook. How are you? We're playing Timberman on a Real Color Computer 3. And we have the author with us here, Paul Thayer. And yeah, this is one of the newer games for the CoCo 3. And nice little project, nice packaging. Oh, I'm just really sucking the big one here. Right?
Yeah, I saw this game on the apps on my phone, and I liked the 8-bit design that they had going on, and I thought they could probably make that for the Color Computer 3. So I had originally started using the GraphExpress programming environment, but I learned quickly that programming environment doesn't leave you a lot of room to write the actual program.
What is GraphExpress?
GraphExpress was a program written by Jeff Steidel back in 1990, 1991, one of those things. Okay. Where it allowed you to do like advanced graphics and audio processing like straight up from BASIC. It wasn't a different interpreter, so to speak. You had to send a separate command set to it that it would then assemble into faster graphics operations. So like it allowed you to do windows and multiple different screen resolutions. And it had transparent sprite support and things like that, and collision detection and everything like that. It was actually pretty cool in concept, but like I said, I ran out of memory like in my basic programs really quickly. So I started trying to do it again in BASIC, and as everybody who programs in Color Computer BASIC knows, you run into the speed problems really fast.
Right.
And so this crazy dude from Denmark messages me on Facebook one day and is like, I can teach you assembly language. And I said, all right. And then I've had to choose a project. Now previously I had done Blocked, which is similar to, what is that, Traffic Jam, I think is the board game, where you have a bunch of cars in a grid and you have to move a bunch of them around to get one of them out.
Oh, like the square puzzle games?
Yeah. So I'd done Blocked for BASIC, and that one wasn't worth a crap either because you basically had to, well, keep getting over 200. You'll be fine. You had to run it on VCC overclocked for it to even work right. And then, so I posted that up on the Facebook page, and Nick Marentes was like, what's the point of making a game if you have to speed it up? And I was like, that makes sense.
Well, that's also a little bit harsh. I mean, the fact that you made it and there is an option to play
well,
it.
Yeah, I know. But it's fine. He was right. And so it was between this and Blocked. And I thought that this would be easier to execute. And I can't comment either way because I didn't do Blocked in assembly. But this proved to be a little bit more challenging than I expected. As I think a lot of people who are trying to take that dive into assembly think that going from assembly to, or basic to assembly, is a 1-for-1 change, and it's not even close. The best way to describe it is that assembly is either the not the workflow, the flow chart, or the decision tree behind every function that basic carries. So like print, for example, you just type in print quotation marks hello world quotation mark, and that pops up on the screen. Well, in assembly, you have to choose a memory address that you're going to write the ASCII characters to. You also have to have the ASCII characters, like the string, already stored in memory somewhere. You have to point to where it starts, take a piece from it, output it to the screen, and then run down the line and then detect when you're at the end and then go back to what you were doing before. So it's like all of the steps involved with doing that is so much more than what you see when you're doing basic. So it can be a real challenge even as experienced, I've had, you know, Basic and Java and all these other higher level languages. It was a big change, and you got to think about numbers and everything else a lot differently than you were previous to that.
Right, right. And the thing that Steve Bjork's been showing us right now is really just explaining a little bit about the CPU and the registers, and then getting into, shall we say, the basics of binary, which in itself is almost a paradox, right? That's a basic binary is an oxymoron.
Yeah,
absolutely. I've been very lucky that I kind of understood, at least I understood the 0 to 255 like decimal to ASCII stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I understood that from back in the day, doing it on the CoCo, like reading the screen and peeking values for characters and stuff. So I understood the ASCII stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then I teach subnetting, which is dealing with 32 bits. Did I unlock somebody?
Yeah, check it out.
Because there's a lock on the screen now?
Yeah, so, yep.
Okay. So I'm on green coat right now. So here's Ron Delvaux. Here's Ron. Here's green coat, which I got. And now who did I just unlock?
I have a feeling it was Sarah.
Oh, Lizzie Borden. I unlocked Lizzie Borden. So now you said this is based on this one's based on your wife?
Yeah, she told me while I was developing this back in the Graphic Express days, if you make me as a character, I will play it. So I said, challenge accepted. I can draw anybody in 8 bits. I even got you somewhere. My brother was making a euchre game, and he was like, I want to have all these people from the CoCo community as players. And I was like, that's a pretty cool idea. So we started with you because obviously you're one of the more popular people. So I already started working on that.
You should have knew me in high school.
Yeah. Well, that goes for all of us. So, yeah, where were we? You were talking about you teach.
Well, yeah, I was teaching like Cisco and networking and stuff, and you have to teach how IP addressing works. And so with how IP works, you really have to learn binary. And you take a 32-bit address and you break it into 4 8-bit little chunks. And then I had to teach people how to convert, binary to decimal, decimal to binary. So I've been teaching that for so many years. I can almost think in binary.
Okay.
So I understand bits and stuff like that because that's just been my background. So that part, luckily, wasn't like a whole foreign concept to learn.
Yeah.
But
it's really not that bad once you get it. I mean, and that's where Simon and I started too. Was he's like, first thing you need to know is how to read binary, how to read hexadecimal, and how to read decimal. Well, obviously I know how to read decimal because that's what they teach us in school. But and how to how to convert all those together and how they relate and everything.
How do you spell 0?
And it was funny when I was learning that stuff. I went on a trip to. So I live in Grand Rapids, Michigan now, but I'm originally from Traverse City, the cherry capital of the world. Woo!
Oh, wow.
So
Whoop, whoop.
my mom still lives up there, and I often vacation up there because, for one, it's very beautiful. For two, it's free, so you can't beat that. And that's where Tim lives too. That my brother, who does some stuff in CoCo, but he's busy trying to get married right now. So.
And you talk him out of it?
No, not yet. Haven't been able to. But I was taking a trip up there, and along the highway, US 131, they got the mile markers, and I kept converting those mile markers to hexadecimal and binary on my way up there because I was trying so hard to learn it and understand the concept, whatever else. So.
Oh my God. Hey guys, if you're watching, you can join us on Zoom. I have a Zoom meeting open. I posted the meeting ID in Discord. It's also, I believe, in the description of this video. I know it is on YouTube, and I know I put the Zoom ID in CoCoTALK lobby on Discord. If you guys want to give Paul Thayer a hard time, or give me a hard time.
I
remember
what is Curtis saying?
I did. He's saying, hopefully I'm not in any of these games with mullet.
It's gonna happen now.
As far as making sprites, yeah.
I think you suggested it just so that it would happen.
Yeah. We got to make a game where there's an actual mullet fish in the game, and the mullet's name will be Curtis.
Yeah, Hugo could put that in Kaboober and Kim.
Yeah.
I hope Hugo's listening so that happens, because he might beat me to a release.
Right? Yeah, Hugo's artwork is looking really good.
Yeah, he's amazing at that. Absolutely. So talking about like machine language versus basic too, there's a lot of different stuff that you can do there that you really can't do in basic. That at least I don't know how. I'm going to provide an example here in a second that maybe you could do, but I'm not sure how it would work in basic. But so not only for speed of processing.
Son of a bitch.
You'll get there. We're going for 6809 anyway. So the collision detection in Timberman is kind of unique. So there's a possibility of 8 branches. Now, how I was originally going to do this was completely different than this, and this is 100% Simon Jonason's Mad Lab crap right here. He's like, one day he notices we got 8 branches on a tree. Well, there's 8 bits in a byte. So basically, so if you go through bits 0 through 7, 7 would be the top left branch, 6 would be the top right branch. So left and right all the way down. And so what we do is at the beginning of a frame. So as you wait to chop too, Steve, we increase the random seed every time. So the longer you wait, the more random the tree is going to be. Because the problem that I was running into is when you're developing an LW assembler mixed with VCC, oftentimes what we'll do is we'll compile, and then we take that binary and we drop it in VCC, and it'll just automatically execute it. So every time your random seed is at 0. So I kept getting the same tree over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So I did some stuff to adjust the randomness. Like, for example, as you wait for the CoCo Brothers logo to push the button to move on, it's constantly increasing that seed. And then also another thing I did, because when I was actually loading the program off disk, sometimes I would find that I was getting the same tree each time. So as you wait to chop too, it also increases that seed, so that we vary the randomness constantly. So the random number generator grabs a number and it pumps the first 2 bits into the top of the tree. So it can be 10, 00, or 01 to tell it what branches. And then we go through and we draw them according to what that happens. So for collision detection, all we do is we took the variable that stores the tree branch value, and we logical shift it right one time.
That's an LSR.
Yep. And then what that does is
like, I know what I'm talking about. I just learned that like yesterday. So
logical shifts are sweet. They're awesome. But what happens in there too is that it will dump. So if you have a 1 in the first bit and you logical shift right, it dumps that 1 into the carry. So the first time we logical shift right once, and if it dumps a 1 into the carry and your guy is on that side, which would be the right side first check, it automatically knows it's got 1 versus 1, and that makes a collision. So if that fails, then we logical shift it again another time, and that dumps the left branch in there. So it's a 0 or a 1, and then it versus if your guy is there or not, and that's how it detects.
Yeah, it's
so it's
quite
like
mad, isn't it, Paul?
It's pretty crazy. And so I mean, it was like 3 instructions and maybe 7 cycles to do that. As that's one of the things that you really got to look out for when you're programming these games that I had no conception of before I started doing assembly. Is you got basically in high speed mode, you got 1,790,000 cycles in a second. Well, that seems like a lot, right?
Right.
So you break it down frame by frame, where you have 29,000 cycles each frame, and you got to make sure everything fits in there, from your input to your screen drawing and to your sound playing and everything else. Timberman, I think we got it at about roughly 30 frames per second. And that was after we cleaned it up. One of the things that I learned from this game too is we tried to optimize when it was done, and that was a bad mistake because there was so much content that you just get burned out looking for opportunities.
Okay.
So what Simon and I do now, I was telling my buddy, he works in, he's a developer for network systems. Dude, you're pretty high right now. He was telling me that the term is called pair programming.
Ran out of time.
That's all right. You unlocked something. The concept of pair programming, where one guy writes one thing and the other guy goes over it, and then they switch. Well, Simon and I are kind of doing that now, but we didn't realize it was called something already.
Okay.
But basically, I do some stuff, and then I send it over to him because he's really good at optimization and finding all those tricks, saving, and then I send it over to him. So basically, it'll take us probably longer to develop, but we will spend less time at the end trying to optimize everything.
Right.
And with some of the stuff that I have planned for the future, we need to really look for opportunities of cutting cycles as much as possible. So
yeah. Even not doing it in assembly, just as I've been working on Cosmic Aliens, there's been plenty of times where instead of adding a new feature, I would spend a few days just optimizing the internal math for the interpreter and things like that. And so I did a fair bit of optimizing during the development, and I guess it's one of those things where, yeah, if I had to go back at the end, since I'm now at like 700 lines of code or whatever it is, then yeah, that would be a lot to sift through and to try, kind of post-mortem. I could see that being a project.
Yeah, well, I mean, we did do a lot of optimization during, but there was a while, so I took like 2 or 3 months off or something when I was developing this. And it was crazy too. Like, I was way seriously behind getting it done. So I took a 2 to 3 month break. I come back, I just hammered it. I hammered it out in like, I don't know, it was like 2 weeks or something, wasn't it, Simon? It was a really short period of time. All of a sudden I was done.
That was quite intense.
And then so once we added the sound in, which was based on, we did a timer interrupt on this one at I think it's 7.8 kilohertz.
Yeah, it's 7.8. The samples themselves are 8,000, but it's 7.8 because that fits in like every second scan line.
I noticed once we added that in that there was some choppiness to it, and Simon messages me and says, "You didn't think you were going to get sound for free, did you?" And I said no, but I think we need to maybe take a look at a few things, but we got her down to a decent frame rate. And this game at 60 frames per second would be so hard anyway. So I'm fine with the frame rate that it's in right now. It's smooth.
Yeah.
You can see the tree fall. One thing that I think I would love to change about this game, started working with this guy named Luis. We kind of pulled him on board on our team in the last week or so. He was hitting up Hugo to help him, and Hugo kind of wanted to do Kaboomerang Kim by himself. And I said, well, I got some opportunity for you if you'd like. So I sent him this, and he immediately kind of emailed me all of the stuff that drives me crazy already about the game. For example, the placement of the play button. There's a lot of things to consider when you're doing video game design and development. So for whatever reason, the exit button when you die is right in the center of the screen, which is where almost everybody ends up when they die. And I could see, and it's happened to me a few times, where I've accidentally hit that exit button when I wanted to play again, and I was mad about that.
Yeah.
So instead of having the exit button on the center, like you see right now, I should have put the play button in the center and the X on the left or the right. But
right.
I told him I didn't want to go back and change it. Now it is what it is.
Right.
So,
You remember when them buttons blinked?
what's that?
Do you remember when those buttons were blinking all over the place?
Oh God, yes.
Let's see.
So
what
many
I have
things
to
that I've
bet.
actually forgotten that have happened during the development of just this one game. One thing that kind of we discovered, or that was kind of cool, was when the buttons were flickering, like the black, like because it was there on one of the pages, but not on the other. You can kind of make a translucent look, like a shadow almost on a CoCo 3, if you got two pages flipping at 60 hertz. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, this game uses a double buffer. In case you didn't know that already. And each time the whole entire screen is redrawn. Every time.
Oh wow, well, that's super fast then.
Yeah. I think it was Glenn Hewlett. Because our old copy routine was kind of longer because we would load this, store here. So load from a buffer and store to the page, right? And then he was talking to me because I didn't understand Stack Blast concept or what the hell that even meant. But he explained it to me, and I did some experiments, and I got it down, and it was, I don't remember how many cycles that ended up being. It was a lot of them. I think it was like 3/4 of a frame maybe to copy that whole page over. So if you had 29,000 cycles, that'd be roughly like 19 or 20,000 cycles just to copy the background image back. And you have to format the picture in a different way too. Like in the buffer that it copies from, it doesn't look anything like what you see. It's all scrambled. I had an example
Back
somewhere.
to front and upside down, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it was upside down.
Yeah, it's back to front and upside down because you're plotting from the bottom right corner upwards.
Yeah, because the pull from a stack goes forward, and the push works backwards.
So it's like reading Arabic.
It kind of is, and it was a really hard concept for me to grasp, and sometimes I still struggle with that. In larger instances where I'm pulling and pushing, a lot of my sprite compiles lately have been taking advantage of pushing and pulling from the stack too, because it's just the processing is so much easier. I don't do a lot of pulls. I do a lot of pushes though, because you can process like 12 bits, or well 6. Wait, like 32 bits, I think. Yeah, you can process 32 bits way faster pushing than doing a direct store to a memory address. That's a little bit more advanced assembly stuff. It's kind of towards the beginning of what you would learn in assembly language, but it is a little bit advanced for newbies or whatever that don't even know what a stack is, which I didn't, I didn't know like for a year. So.
And what is a stack?
The stack is a portion in memory that you basically reserve for storing variables. So like if you go to, a go sub, right?
Yeah.
In BASIC. So a lot of times in assembly you'll write a subroutine the same way, and then you'll jump to it. Well, the address, the program counter, the system takes that and pushes that information of where you were into the stack. And then you go off and you do your subroutine. And when you want to go back, it pulls that where was I off the stack and brings you back to where you were. You kind of understand that?
A little bit.
And also, let's say I had a variable A was equal to 5. And I do a subroutine where I'm going to change the value of A.
Right.
I would want to push A onto the stack to save that value, go to where I was going to go, change A, do what I want with it, and then when I'm going to go back, I'm going to grab A back off the stack and put it so that it has the value that it had before.
Okay.
And that's important, especially when it comes to doing what's called interrupts on the color computer, which is how we process sound. Probably 100% of the time. Maybe some people don't use interrupts. I guess if you were just going to use sound and no graphics, then there'd be no interrupt required. But basically, you're going to take the computer and you're going to interrupt it while it's processing something. And you're going to use registers like X, D, Y, A, B in that routine that interrupts the rest of the routines. So you have to save those somewhere. And usually you push them onto the stack and then pull them off when you're done. So that's what a stack is. It's just a reserved portion of memory where the computer pushes and pulls information from.
And how big can the stack be?
It just grows and grows and grows.
Yeah, I was going to say it doesn't really have a limit except for basically your computer's full memory capacity. But at that point, you wouldn't do anything else with it.
And you were using this for like copying the page back and like restoring the background and stuff?
Yep,
or?
That's exactly right. So I had a buffer with the scrambled image that works from top to bottom, or it goes from bottom to top, right to left, kind of. It's a scrambled image of the tree and the sun in the background that you see. And basically that was stored in one area of the computer. So I'd pull from there and I would push onto the screen that I'm going to draw on. And that process is faster than saying load from here and store to here.
Okay.
So that's why you can copy a 6K screen in about 20,000 cycles. The other way was much, much slower.
Okay.
I don't even remember. I think it was like 2.5 frames. So that's like 64,000 cycles. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, Nick Marentes has joined us. Hello, Nick.
G'day, everyone. G'day, Paul. How are you? Simon.
I'm good, Nick.
Yeah. I take it
good.
you're talking about stack blasting at the moment.
Yeah, well, I was telling him that in Timberman, basically the screen is redrawn every frame.
Yeah.
And one of the ways that we were able to do that was to copy the background with a stack blast, basically.
Yep. Yeah, that's probably the fastest way to do it.
I can show you a little bit of the code. I can show you a little bit of the code, Steve, if you want to see that.
Yeah. Hold on. I'm going to do something real quick, too. I want to just, for the people watching at home who aren't quite aware, if you like the game that we're playing and you're hearing from the man and you're hearing from the madman, the man who made the game and the madman who helped him make the game, and you want to get a copy of Timberman, which has got a beautiful glossy manual like this. Timberman, original smartphone app by Digital Medley, Tandy Color Computer 3 version by Paul Thayer, program by Paul Thayer with Simon Jonason, right? So beautiful, glossy manual. Beautiful frickin' SD card here. You can get all these things. You can go to the Retro Swag shop at 8bit256.com and you can click on the link to email Paul and get your copy however you want to get your copy. Steve Benden is out here. Steve Benden says, "Hola, Senor Steve." And Curtis Boyle says, "Make sure your stack doesn't grow so much that it starts to overwrite your code."
Yes, very important.
So, yeah, go ahead and share a screen if you want to show us
I'm working on
here.
finding
Paul
it,
Thayer.
but basically we wouldn't have to worry about in the case of Timberman because we put our stack before the main program. Because the stack gets written to backwards. So if it starts at like address 600, the next place it would write would be 5FF and then down from there. So we made sure that it wasn't going to write into our program by.
Well, I have a really quick question. Is stack blasting like the blast processing that Sonic the Hedgehog uses?
I have no idea. I don't think
that was their big thing. Sonic the Hedgehog says, yes, we do blast processing. Okay, Druid 8-Bit says, hello, greetings from Argentina. Hello to you from Argentina.
Okay, I'm taking over your screen.
Take over the screen.
Okay.
And I might need to switch over.
We'll let Steve die,
Well.
which is probably going to happen soon anyway.
Ye of little faith.
No, you've been doing really good this round. I saw you do much worse and swear a lot more in the previous video.
Yeah, there's a video of me playing this game and cursing up a storm.
I'm going to probably talk a little bit about what Simon and I are currently working on, too. Currently breaking, I should say.
I thought that was David Ladd's job.
A lot of things get broken in the Mad Lab.
All right, I just frickin' died. All right, let me switch over to full screen. Let's... I'm looking on the wrong side of this. Hold on. Okay.
All right. There you go. All right, cool. So right here we have the background copying routine. So where you see STS, old stack +2, we're saving where the stack was when we came into this.
Yes.
Okay.
Self-modifying.
Yes, it does self-modify. But it kind of has to in this case. So if you look where it says load S, I'm going to just highlight it. That'll probably help.
Yeah, load S.
So that is where the buffer that I'm copying from ends. And then U is set to the screen that I'm going to copy to. Following me so far?
Okay.
I'm sorry. I had that,
so
in,
we're doing
I
a
had
pull
that
U.
in reverse. S is pointing to the screen. U is pointing to my buffer that I'm copying from.
Okay.
So right here where it says pull U, D, X, Y, D, P, I'm pulling, so D, X, and Y are 16-bit registers. So 2 bytes. And DP is 1. So it's going to pull 2, 4, 6, 7 bytes off of my buffer. And then the next operation, push S, is going to put those same bytes right back on my screen.
Okay.
And then we do that X amount of times, and the whole screen is copied over.
Now, is this what's called unrolling a loop, where you are actually specifying it all longhand instead of doing a counter on this?
But this is also in a loop.
It's an unrolled loop within a loop.
Yeah.
Because now, is your at buffer or whatever in reverse to the copied image on this one?
Yep, it's all it looks very scrambled. It doesn't
it
always work that way, but in the background case it does.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Yeah, you have to basically what I had to do was I had to take the image of the background, do this process to it, save that, put it in, and because doing that same process to it reverses it and scrambles it.
Yeah, yeah. So you create an inverted copy of it, or inverted for every 7 bytes, and then do the stack blast, which will effectively also correct it then as well in the process. Yeah.
Yep, that's how that works. And I think it was roughly 3/4 of a frame. So we measured it based on, the color trick, the border color trick, where you start with one color and end in black, so you can measure how many cycles you have.
Yeah, I find that very useful. That.
Yeah, that's an old C64 trick, actually.
Yeah.
It's an old C64 trick, is that what you said?
Yeah. I used to use it all the time on a C64. Just to measure.
So we're looking at the source code to Timberman right now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hang on, I'm transcribing.
I was actually trying to connect with you on Discord to see if you wanted to share anything with me, because I think there's some stuff I could learn from you, Nick, if you wouldn't mind.
Me? No one learns stuff from me.
Well, speaking of upside down, Nick does all his coding upside down.
That's right,
so
yeah.
He's got a stack.
I'll do a stack blast up to the northern.
He's got a stack blasted back to the States. So.
That's right. It'll be the right way up by then.
I'm trying to find the collision detection sequence in here, but there's so much. Dude, it's so long. it's ridiculous.
You're looking for a rotate? You're looking for
I'm looking for, I probably should just do that, right, LSR?
Yeah, you just stuff the code. But yeah,
That's adding branches though.
Shift, LSRA.
This is all the stuff to add a branch. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So every time that we cycle,
and these semicolons are all your comments, right? So you.
Yep.
And that stuff gets chopped off when you assemble this. So it's
absolutely, it's just this right here. All it does is process what's highlighted, the instruction, the opcode, and the value associated with it.
Yeah, all the other stuff is just for our convenience.
The thing I love about assembly, man, is especially like using something like Notepad or a modern text editor. Your labels can be any length that you want, which is pretty sweet, especially when you go from CoCo Basic where you have 2 letters. So you're like, it's not that you'll run out of the ability to make a variable or have an available name. It's the fact that you got to remember what the hell it means.
Yeah.
You've got a bit B20 and a bit B10.
Yeah, where's that? Up here?
Yeah, check left, check right branch. Check left branch, check right branch.
Yeah. So those are more examples of stuff that you really can't do in BASIC, where you're checking the value of a certain bit within that value or that number that's in the 8-bit address.
Right.
So but they're fast too. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
Let me stop sharing this. I'm gonna find something that we're currently working on, and if you want to get back to playing or whatever.
Okay, I'll go back to the game. So hello, Desert Flower and Mixer. Desert Flower says, I'm so confused right now. We were just looking at some of the science behind what it's like to make video games. That's a
good way to.
That's some of the that's the molecules that make up the matter.
So I'll do some sharing of the sprite editor that I used to use to make a lot of these things. If you don't mind, I'll rob your screen again.
Go ahead, and I'll switch over to you. I'm just let me see how long I can live here before I switch back over to you. I've actually unlocked 3 characters in this round so far.
I'm proud of you. So you're probably going to get 4.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because Simon takes.
Oh, did you tell him who Sarah is?
Yeah, he still calls her whoever it was.
Lizzie Borden.
Lizzie Borden.
Yeah. Lizzie Borden is a famous female axe murderer. So it's just,
the long-haired one wants to kill him all the time.
Yeah.
All right, I keep dying. All right.
That's all right, man.
The sprite.
So what are we looking at here? CoCo Brothers Software proudly presents Seizure Screen.
My brother and we made a PC card game, and
Oh yeah, I remember that one, the 7-card stud. I have it, but I never played it. I gotta play it.
Well, this is different. We made this for actual personal computer, like newer computers. And it was a 3-card poker, which is a crazy game that I don't like. But I wanted to do something like nostalgic in the beginning, so I wrote a program in BASIC that did that same thing. You know, the old school BASIC rotating banner things. This is this program. So I took screenshots of each frame of that, and then I recorded the CoCo, just the play command, doo-dee-doo, or some weird, stupid sounding melody. And so we put that at the beginning of that game. So it says like CoCo Brothers, and it's got the CoCo screen going on a PC video game, which was pretty cool. But anyway, just a little side note. I'm going to open up some of the sprites that I edited in this thing to just kind of show you.
Written in BASIC?
Yeah, but it's cranked in VCC if you look.
Oh yeah, I saw you accelerate it. Yeah.
Yeah, because it'd be really stupidly slow if I hadn't. But this is basically what I used to do all of my sprite designs on, was this thing. And then I would save them onto disk. I'd write a basic program that would load them all and put them on the screen. And then what I would do is I'd clear all those buffers out that BASIC uses. And I would go through and I would use the hgit command to put them all into this buffer. Yeah. And then I would save the buffer onto disk. And I would load it in the beginning of my BASIC program. And the buffer would already be there. So I could bypass any of the draws or any of that stuff
Oh wow.
And all of the H-gets would be bypassed. So your buffers just loaded in right into memory, and you could H-put. It was pretty cool it was pretty useful as a basic programmer. But eventually, all of these sprites, I compiled these all by hand, which is as we know now, compiling a sprite is just writing a set of assembly instructions to draw it directly on the screen. So, but this is what I used to use. Now, I will see if I can switch the screen that I share.
Nick Marotta says, "Hey, Nick Marotta."
Hi, Nick Marotta. I'll bring up this one since we're going to talk about this one in a second. See if that pops up. Right. So this is GIMP, and my wonderful friend Simon Jonason showed me very early on in our stages of learning assembly how to convert a bitmap image from a PC onto something that the computer, the CoCo, would read. So I do a lot of my sprite editing on the GIMP now. Let me share a different one. I didn't see it there though.
Personally, I use PaintShop Pro. I think Nick will probably know that.
Right. There's
PaintShop Pro I use on the PC. Yeah.
There's a ton of them that you can use, really.
Oh, there's heaps. Yeah.
I used to have Photoshop, but that one's gone now. So, and I didn't want. Can you guys see this one with the buff commando stuff on it? Yeah. Yep. So I basically have I draw everything on an editor now. And it's cool because I don't know if you'll be able to see these tools that I will get in here, but I can set up custom palettes that are based on an RGB palette from the CoCo.
Yeah.
Neat.
And then what I can do from there is basically output a 16 color bitmap onto the disk. And then we use DOS prompt to go in and actually debug it. So basically what we do is we strip the header off. And then from there we pack it, we compress it, and then we load it onto the CoCo from there. So it's pretty sweet. It's a really useful thing to do. So I don't know if you guys can see that palette right there.
Yep.
So that's what I do.
How do you convert? How do you convert from the PC to the CoCo? You've got a program that does the conversion, does it?
Somewhat.
What we actually do is you have to flip the bitmap on its head.
Yep. So here's step one. You got to do that.
You got to flip it upside
down. Then you
down.
export it as a.
That's because of the old OS2 way to store a bitmap.
Right.
And then you do export as, and you set it to a Windows bitmap.
Oh yeah, I see. Use BMP. Yep.
Yeah.
And then when we go to export, this is specific to GIMP. You have to click on compatibility options and do not write color space information because it will store the palette if I don't do that. And then I click export. There's another step that I missed. In the image, what you have to do is there's modes RGB, grayscale, and indexed. Well, you have to do it. You have to go in and you have to set it to an indexed mode. So in here, you use your custom palette that you'd set up. I think it's Commando 3. And then I don't want to remove unused colors because anything that's in this palette that isn't used in the picture, it will delete it as a color option. So then you convert it, then you export it, then you go into the DOS command prompt.
Yeah,
this is what Simon showed me.
Do that just for fun.
Yep. And then you go into debug and you stripe the header off. And then then I have a custom written assembly program that brings it into the CoCo. Like if I want to see it or whatever. So I have an example.
I use Roger Taylor's graphics program. Yeah, he's got that, what's it called again? I forget now. I'll just bring it up. Projector 3. So I develop everything on the Amiga, and I just draw it on that, and then I save it as a standard Amiga file, and then I just I save it to floppy, put it on the PC, and on the PC it goes into DriveWire, and I run projector, Roger Taylor's projector on the CoCo 3, and I just load the image straight in, no changes to it at all. Palette and everything comes across, loads it into the normal HScreen 2 memory space, and then I just have a basic program which allows me to save it out.
Oh, that's cool.
I avoid all those extra layers of conversion and command lines and that. I just read the IFF format file, and projector will read all the others, JPEG and all that as well. I just use because I'm running an Amiga, I just use the Amiga format, but that's all I do.
Actually, a bitmap file is just well, the CoCo uses 16 colors, right? So you've got like 2 entries per byte because you've got 2 different nibbles. You've got 2 bytes. Which can be 0 to 15. That's like 16 colors. Because 0 is a number, and the actual 16 color bitmap is totally compatible. You just have to turn it on its head, and you have to strip off the header, which is like 76 bytes. So I don't know if you could demonstrate, Paul, at some point how you strip off the header, because it's quite easy.
Yeah. Maybe in a different context.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like if we're doing something that's specific to development that I want to go that deep.
Yeah, that's fine.
It might be beyond what people want to see or comprehend right now.
This looks like Boulder Dash right now with these little jewels over your head.
So this is one that I'm working on right now, which is moving towards Buff Commando, which is like the ultimate one that I want to do. But that one's got some advanced things going on with it. But I wanted to show the level editor so you can kind of get a concept of the game. Basically, you have red pegs that you would move out of your way, go grab the key, which the lock that's sitting next to that big green circle would disappear once you grab the key. And then you go into the green circle and you've completed the level. And then you're on to the next one. And it's all timed from the beginning of the game, from when you start until you end. It's just one big time. And I will actually run for you what we have of that game so far, which isn't much. We've been working on the title sequence for a very long time, but we have 3 voice music. You won't see that here, but we have 3 voice music that we've been working on going along with it, as well as some screen splitting and everything else going on. Hopefully I can do this without it running through everything before you get to see it.
And you're using the lower resolution like Timberman?
I am in this game, yeah, for dang it. Let's see if I can get it to do it again. Let's see if this will work.
Now, is there any self-modifying code?
Oh, there's a lot of self-modifying. You know better than to ask that question.
Now, have you used any of the arithmetic shift lefts in this?
Is this in OS 9?
No, we've used logical shift left.
Is this in OS 9?
Yeah.
Is this on OS 9? Ease of use.
Oh, man. Hold on. I got to get my crap together. I wasn't very prepared.
Okay, so Curtis is asking, is this a bit like Sokoban?
That's exactly what it's inspired from. It's Sokoban. Yes.
And I'm not familiar with Sokoban because
I'm trying to find the disk image of this. I'm really sorry, guys.
I remember one time I had Ichiban, but I got some powder and it went away. So
that's gross, Steve.
All right. So while you're doing that, I'm going to try to trap down some more trees. All right. So we're back.
I have to do some stuff, so it'll take me a minute.
So last week we celebrated the life and times of legendary game designer Nick Marentes, who's also with us. This week we're celebrating the life and times of Paul Thayer with his bad influence Simon Jonathan. The Sith Lord. Simon is like the Sith Lord. I will teach you the powers of the dark side.
That's funny. That's exactly what it's like too. I do call him.
Yeah.
I do call him Sensei.
Yeah.
And he tried to give me another rank besides Grasshopper a little bit ago, but I wouldn't let him do it because.
Oh! So Curtis says it's a game cartridge for the CoCo. I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, there is.
So it's an OS 9 ROM cartridge.
OS 9 ROM. Huh? Somehow I doubt it.
And if anybody would like to get a copy of Timberman for your real Color Computer 3 or an emulator, I've got a convenient link on the Retro Swag Shop at 8bit256.com you can contact Paul Thayer via Gmail and choose how you want to get your copy. Digital, deluxe copies, all kinds of different versions, including the glossy manual and custom SD card. Cool packaging. So you can run out and get yourself a copy. So Paul's still working on his first Ferrari. Nick Marentis has got 3 Ferraris already. So.
Yeah, it takes a while to develop games on the CoCo, but it's worth the effort.
Have we talked a bit about Paul's history in programming on the CoCo?
No.
like what have you done before Timberman? Or
a lot of basic stuff.
basic.
That was all accelerated in VCC.
Right.
I used to try and write a lot of programs. Like I first got into the CoCo when I was like 5 or 6 years old, and I used to try and write a lot of programs back then in BASIC. And I just never really got anywhere with it. And then high school came, and girls came, and the computer kind of went to the wayside. And then when I was in my early 20s, I started looking for video game programming programs on the internet. And so I got back into doing like PC games, but it was still 8-bit style like I was used to for the CoCo 3. And then I discovered CoCo 3 emulators, and I was like, sweet, we're going to get back into doing it on the computer I loved as a kid. And I was always really unsatisfied with the polish and the level of production on a lot of CoCo games. There's a few exceptions to that rule. Like Crystal City's got a lot of polish. Xenix has a lot of polish. One thing that Hugo mentions about Xenix is that it stutters a lot when there's a lot on the screen, but if you think about all of the processing that Jeremy Spiller was putting into that program, there's like the fact that it slows down a little bit and its frame count is not a big deal. I mean, he's got like 4 voice music going on with digital sound effects and just crazy graphics going everywhere.
And lots of sprites too.
Oh God, yeah, it's amazing. The stuff that guy has done, I would love to pick his brain for just a day if I could do that.
Paul, I just posted you a disc on Bookface.
On Bookface?
Yeah.
What is that?
Facebook. I just posted you a disc image on Facebook.
I already set up the disc for what I was going to do, but I might use that in a second. Thank you, sir.
Okay, that's the latest rendition of what we're doing at the moment.
So I did a lot of PC games, which actually I lost because I had a power surge on my computer about 6 years ago, and it fried one of my hard drives that I still have. I'm hoping to recover it someday. But I wrote a video game called Apocalypse Dawn, which starts out as a platformer. This was during the time when George Bush was president that I started writing this game.
Apocalypse Dawn.
And so the premise was that you're living in a post-war society, post-President Bush war society, and they've taken all weapons and everything else. Like, there's no guns, there's no knives. And so somebody stole your girlfriend, and you're just on a quest to get your girlfriend. It's a really stupid storyline. But you get armed with a plastic butter knife in the beginning of it. and you go through and you have to find keys to open up doors. And as you progress like through the levels, the sprite starts out with a guy with a man bun, and as you go through the levels and you encounter more and more stuff, his hair slowly gets messier as he goes along, and his shirt gets dirty and stuff like that. And in the second level, I made like a boat racing game. It was all top down, so that was pretty cool. And then one year I decided to make a video game, like a top-down shooter that was starring myself and my friends. So we took a whole bunch of pictures of ourselves on green screens and stuff, and I converted all that over into images for like a character selection screen. And I made sprites of all my friends from the top down, and it was a 2-player game, and we used to play it with each other all the time. And then my computer got shocked and my hard drive went, so I don't have that one anymore, which stinks because it was a lot of fun. We made about 6 or 7 different arenas. So that's where my history is. And I want to bring a lot of modern game aspects to CoCo 3 games and really polish them up and make them really professional and glitch free. Saving progress is like a huge thing to me. That was one of the things that I wanted to accomplish in Timberman, and we did that. So
Timberman's your first full machine language game for the CoCo.
Yep, and it was the first time I ever dabbled in it. I knew nothing about it beforehand, so it was pretty cool. I
off to a good start.
Yeah,
not a bad first project.
It helps to have Simon on board with me, and I really can't even express how much gratitude I have, because he spent so much of his time debugging and slapping me up and being like, what are you doing here? You can do this better. I'll show you guys what we're working on right now, and I'll explain a little bit why I shifted to here from Downland 2 and Buff Commando.
Okay.
Steve, you'll like the beginning of this.
Okay. Paul Thayer Software Development presents another CoCoTALK will likely rage quit.
And so
new game, load game.
So he materializes. Cool. So you may have noticed some scroll-ins of portions of the screen.
Yeah.
One of the things that I'm doing this for is to learn the manipulation of the HVEN using we're using the horizontal border timer to basically tell the computer when to split a screen at a certain scan line. And so this is like just basic concepts of some of the stuff that I want to apply in some of my later games. Nick uses this same thing on Popstar Pilot.
Yeah.
You know, the first top part of his screen is static, doesn't move. The middle section moves. So he's basically telling the computer at a certain scan line, hey, do this stuff with the HVEN and scroll the screen. So eventually that guy is going to push that peg, and eventually there'll be some music that I don't want to share right now. And Aaron Hickman is a guy that Simon met through the demo scene. And I asked him, hey, man, do you want to write some music for this game? And he's like, sure. So I sent him just some graphics. That's it. Like the sprite page. That's all he had. And I said, write a song for that. And he goes, cool. The next day, he had the perfect song. It gets you hyped up to go into it. It kind of fits the color palette. You can kind of hear it in the music, so to speak.
Wow.
Really interesting.
Wow.
And we're probably going to have him write some more music for Downland 2 and Buff Commando. He's really
neat.
Yeah,
and that's using Simon's music program.
Yeah, he wrote the tune for my demo. The tune for my demo uses the inherent sawtooth. Pico Prod, we wrote a new player for. It's free voice and uses samples.
Right.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy because especially on the third voice, it was a drum track, but Aaron also wanted to produce some extra notes for chord voicings. And so the third voice goes between drums and actual like square waves too.
Yep.
So it was pretty complicated to do, and fortunately Simon's kind of a genius when it comes to that stuff, and spent a couple weeks on it now, huh?
Something like that, yes. And you broke it.
I did break it. I put it on real hardware, and something crazy
You
happened.
broke it. So I'm off to Maine.
Yep. So, but we'll figure that out, and then we'll basically use that engine in a lot of our other games too. And that's what a lot of this is building up and figuring out certain things in a little bit less complicated or less complex video game, and building up our library of tools that we're going to use, so to speak.
Cool.
Why did that disappear? Where did you go? Okay, there it is right there. So I'll show you this image in GIMP right here. This is the Buff Commando play screen. Can you see that? A bunch of red bricks?
No, it's now just kind of
Okay, well.
checker, like a slash lines.
Really?
Yeah. Try it again. Were you zooming in on it? Was that the deal?
Yeah, discard changes. Can you see that now?
No, you stopped sharing.
Oh, great. Let me redo that. Sorry, guys.
No problem.
I only know 6809. I don't know any of this new mumbo jumbo.
I taught you well, Grasshopper.
How about that? You see that now?
Okay, now I see the red. I see the red pattern.
Okay,
yeah.
so in Buff Commando, there's a few things that are going to happen. The top part of the screen is going to be in the same resolution as Timberman. So 128 pixels by 96 pixels.
And that's where all the red blocks
Yep.
are.
And that's why they look bigger. So basically, when you put it in that mode, you set the computer to do 2 lines per row. That's how we get the big chunky pictures, and the aspect ratio is set correctly. Then when you see that black part down on the bottom, like where my arrow is,
Yep.
that's going to split the resolution to 256 by 192.
Okay.
And it's going to go down through here. And then when you hit score, health, lives, armor, and bonus, it's going to shift, I think, 4 palettes.
4
So
or
that-
8, yeah. 4 or 8, yes.
4 or 8 palette colors.
So
and-
it splits the resolution and the palette.
Yep. So the health bars here are the highlight that's yellow right now is going to be a bright green. And then over here where the armor is, where it's red, and yellow,
Red and yellow.
that's going to be a cyan version of that same thing. So it's going to split resolutions. It's going to scroll the top portion. This portion of the screen is going to scroll using hardware scrolling. And then we're going to change palettes down here.
Have you actually tested that split resolution routine yet?
Yep, it works.
Yeah.
So it works. That's good, yeah.
It was a little harder than I thought. but
Was it easier than splitting atoms?
maybe.
Well, the consequences are better anyway.
Yeah, right, exactly. So we kind of want to try and like push the envelope of the system, and maybe it's not noticeable to the end user, but that's fine. I feel like we're using the chipset as it was intended by the people who designed it. I mean, these abilities wouldn't be there if they didn't think ahead. Maybe they didn't think ahead that somebody be like splitting resolutions and stuff like that, but maybe they did. I don't know.
Well, it was done with semi-graphics modes. There were CoCo 2 games that switched between like semi-graphics text and graphics on the same screen. Dragonfire switched colors on the VDG.
I don't know if the hardware designers actually planned for that. I just think that they provided the resolution. I think it's up to the programmers who've come up with the ways to do those sort of tricks.
Mm-hmm. It's really cool.
Yeah, software hacking the hardware, basically. I mean, the Amiga was infamous for doing that.
That's one where they
the ham mode
plan for all that.
Hold and modify, where they kind of switch screens.
Yeah, they did plan for it on the Amiga, but yeah.
The one thing that I wish that could work on a scanline basis is the viewport function on the CoCo 3. That's like the only thing.
As in the position of the screen.
Yeah, FF9E and 9E. it only happens in the VSync frame. Unfortunately.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, that's what I was asking you before, if you've tested that split resolution to make sure it doesn't need the VSync. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the cool thing about
that is
doing
cool.
something like that was we were thinking, what was that racing game, Simon?
It'd probably be something like Outrun.
Outrun, yeah. So they have like mountains and stuff on the left and the right. If you had that stuff like in memory somewhere, pointed to that at the beginning of a scan line, and then changed to where the road was, and then changed back to the other, you could like layer different graphics on top of each other by just changing the viewport as you go across the scan line. But it doesn't work. So we can't do that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Well, you can vary
there are a few limits, but
you can vary lines per row down the screen. So essentially you could do it, and you can actually vary HVEN on the portion. So if you had like a chessboard going from the middle of the screen down to the bottom of the screen, you can actually vary scan lines per row to make it like more 3D, and you can use HVN to scroll from left to right.
Yeah. If only there was a dual layer graphics mode.
I was gonna say, have you guys tried? Have you tried tapping into that second layer?
Hey guys, I'll be back in just a second. I don't know if there's something that you want to talk about, Simon.
I've got to actually leave. I'll leave. I've got work today, so unfortunately I have to go to work, and my time's up. So I'll let you.
Hey, thanks for stopping by, Nick.
Yeah, no, well, I'll be looking forward to the playback of this video. So yeah, sorry I can't hang about any longer. This is really interesting, and it's great to see other people creating software for the CoCo that is of a high commercial level. So it's great to see Simon coming in and people helping each other to progress the CoCo even further. And
absolutely.
And I just want to tell people that we should all support Paul on this venture and purchase a copy of Timberman, because if we support Paul, Paul will support us. So
what'd you say?
Anyway, that's my blurb.
Can you hear me?
Okay.
Well, thanks for stopping by, Nick. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, have a good day.
See you later. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Okay.
All right, Simon, the stage is yours. I'll be back.
What the hell am I going to talk about? The other thing is on that disc. So,
thank you.
Steve, how many points have you got?
My best is 344 so far.
What's your overall point score?
Oh, how do I see that?
Possibly at the title screen. I can't remember, actually.
Okay, let's see. This is the Madman 6809 total to unlock. Yeah. I've unlocked him. Green shirt, locked. Sarah is unlocked. Jason is unlocked.
I think it's quite
best 300.
I think it's quite funny that Paul actually used Sarah as a character, actually.
Yeah, that is funny. I don't see where I can see how many whacks I've made in the game.
No, I don't.
When I go to select my characters, it doesn't tell me what my current number of whacks is.
Oh well, yeah. At one point you'll get 60 out of 9.
Yeah. Well, I've done a good personal best today of the 344 chops. That may or may not be a lifetime best, but
I think playing that game when we were making it, it's like, oh, yeah, okay, this is fun. But playing it afterwards, when it's not, when we haven't got all the glitches and stuff like that, oh yeah, it's really, really addictive.
It is. It's fun and it's fast and it's very challenging because you are creating your own challenges. The faster you play, the harder you're making it on yourself. You know.
Yeah, and actually, for each level you progress to, the timer goes faster. You know, like you're running out of time kind of thing.
Yep.
So
which I didn't understand at first. I didn't realize that you couldn't just take your time, because that does change the whole game dynamic, you know.
Whack, and I can just whack as many times as I want as long as I don't die. Well, no, you're going to run out of time.
How you guys doing? I'm back.
We're doing good. We're doing good. You weren't gone long enough.
I think I'm gonna start playing the bonus game that comes with the package when you buy it.
Okay, you gonna show it off?
Called Hotel Elevator Man, and I'm probably gonna die quite often. Just letting everybody know that right out front. Steve Strobridge is not the only person who rage quits at all. Yeah, and that rage quit joke was made before the incident on the actual CoCoTALK.
Oh, on CoCoTALK?
Yeah, so why is this not coming out, man? I'm telling you, man, computers are so much harder than they need to be these days. If everything was just on a 6809, I think it'd be all set. Extract. There we go. So how's it coming? I haven't been able to watch your progress since I've been busy talking about development.
Not that great. I got the one really good run of like 344. Hey, Curtis Boyle has joined us. How's it going, eh?
Not too bad.
I'm gonna
Let me just kill my live feed here because I'm getting double.
Hi, Curtis.
Hello.
Thanks for joining.
Yeah, I won't be on too long. I'm still working, but I thought I'd pop in since everybody else kind of had to leave.
Working on the Nitrous 9, right?
Mm-hmm. I wish.
Okay, let me switch over to your screen now. Here's Hotel Elevator Action Man.
So
Hotel Elevator Man, programmed by Paul Thayer.
this one I might want to do for the CoCo 3 as well, but there's some things that need to be worked out in it. But it's all 8-bit based, so any colors or any graphics you see in this game can be done on the CoCo 3, which they just haven't been yet.
Hey, Tim has just joined us. Tim Thayer has just joined us.
My
Hey,
brother.
Tim.
Hi, bro.
The other CoCo brother.
We were talking crap about you getting married. Hope you don't care.
Yeah. I asked him if he tried to talk you out of getting married, but apparently no.
Oh, Don's probably listening too. So this game came up. My brother's son, Alaren, is autistic, and he's obsessed with elevators and numbers and lots of stuff like that. And he wanted an actual panel of elevator buttons for his birthday. And I looked into actually like making something like that or buying it way beyond the price range. So I was thinking, all right, well, he likes platformers like Mario Brothers and whatnot, stuff like that. And he likes elevators, so we'll combine that into a video game. Now, I was originally going to try and get this to him by his birthday, but it ended up being Christmas because level design takes a long time. So basically, you're this dude. We didn't put any of the story into this, but your name is Hem, which is Hotel Elevator Man initials. Okay. You're leaving for the day, and your boss really needs you to stay, and basically you just leave anyway out the back freight elevator, and then the next thing you know, you're in this world where your boss is trying to kill you because you wouldn't stay late for work.
And it's this is a documentary style game.
Yes.
Yeah.
puzzle platformer, and it looks like I've unlocked everything. This one's kind of evolved from the beginning, but once you get the keys are optional, but once you get all the keys on the right side, you get this trophy which has an arrow pointing down, because what will happen is the basement will be unlocked and you'll be able to play that now. It also keeps track of how many deaths you've had, and I've had this up in the thousands. So 36 is actually a good score for me. And you will see as we play why I died in the thousands.
Okay, here's the game.
This is a little bit of my history here. So, all right, so here's level 1. I got spikes that can obviously kill me. That seems really loud. Maybe I should.
We can't hear it.
Oh, you can't hear it? Okay, cool.
No, you'd have to share system sound to advanced share system sound or something like that.
There's some jumping and beeping noises going on, just so everybody knows.
Yeah, it looks really good though.
So I'm gonna push this crate over here, jump up here, jump over there. Now I could just go in the elevator and leave, but I'm gonna try and get this key. Unsuccessful. And we went through and we named each level down there on the bottom right. Oh, gotcha. Not this time. Now the cool thing is, as you advance, you can go up or down in the elevator. Man, that is so loud. I gotta turn that down. That's killing my ears. Glad it's not killing your guys' ears though.
No, we're hearing the mime version.
Yep. And this is one that my son Sky came up with this one. I hate this one too. He's gonna push that top box, and then you can get out.
Just the top box.
Just the top one. If you push the center one, the top one will fall and smash you and kill you.
Nah.
You don't want that to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, the colors look like these colors would work well.
Yeah, they're all based on RGB colors from the Color Computer 3. So this little thing on the left that I'm about to push this box onto is a switch, which basically removes all those that have a square on them, as you can see. And then this is ice.
So he's a little bit slippery.
But I've done this so much that it's not that difficult anymore, even though I almost died right there. Where it gets really bad is a couple of levels called Jack Be Nimble. I think level 17 and like 12 are just...
Oh, there's the name there, like bridged over spike waters. I saw that on the bottom there.
And this one's called Electricity Can Be Fun. The crate is just a decoy. But basically, so this is teaching you a little bit about some of the game's rules. So you see those two ice blocks between the electric blocks there? Well, when I turn this on, it completes the circuit between the two of them and melts the ice, essentially. Also, you want to make sure you shut it off. Otherwise, that happens.
Yeah, you burn yourself.
Then you solder your hair.
And it looks like this was made with Game Maker Studio, according to what it says on the top of the screen there.
Yeah.
Right?
Which is what I made a lot of games in, was Game Maker. Mark Overholzer.
So this is like a like a turnkey game engine development tool or something?
Yeah, Mark Overholzer, another Danish guy like Simon, wrote it in the early 2000s, and you used to be able to buy a full registered version for $18. And now they sell it for close to $300.
Wow.
So I just have the shareware version of that.
Now this runs on Windows only, or does it also support other systems?
As far as I know, it only runs in Windows. I haven't been able to.
Now the switch. So the switch just melted the ice. Yep. I see that.
And then the other block fell on the other ones, and the ones that are lit up are part of the circuit.
Okay.
And hence the name.
So you got to now you're gonna have to push that other lightning bolt over to complete the circuit to the other side. Look at that, game mechanics. Look at that. Oh, you melted the ice. Look at that.
Now I'm out.
Hey, that's pretty cool. Yeah, this is fun. This is a fun little game. Just watching you play, it's pretty
really
fun.
Hard. The first oh yeah, that guy's.
And so this is a free game that comes. So if somebody buys Timberman, they're going to get this with
Absolutely.
Timberman.
Yep. Oh, there's a little bit of a delay between what I'm doing and what you guys see.
Do you not remember we actually started making this for the CoCo 3?
Oh, you electrocuted him. How cool was that?
What did you say, Simon?
We actually started making this for the CoCo 3, didn't we?
We did. I converted all the sprites, and we were doing some stuff with it, and then we decided BASIC was too slow, so that's when we started making Timberman, actually.
Yeah. Well, this is, I mean, don't get me wrong, this is great, but yeah, it would be great to see it on the CoCo as well. But no, this is a really cool looking game.
Sounds like you have the same problem that I do, where you keep distracted with other projects in the middle of other ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mark Overholzer has joined us.
The ones
Nick Marota's in the chat.
The ones I'm working on now, Curtis, are kind of contributing to the end game. It's a library building type of thing, and as well as learning how to do certain things too. So, damn it.
Yeah, because you have your grand concept of the big game, and then you're doing these as kind of experiments to figure out how to do certain portions of it.
Yep. It's gonna make it easier in the long run, I hope. Anyway, what is going on here? Oh, we don't want that. We don't want a bay full of spikes, that's for sure. All right, cool. There we go. So I don't know if you want me to continue playing this, and
No, it's cool. It's cool. I think we've seen it. It looks good.
All right, cool. I'll
You can, if you want to keep playing, that's fine. But I'm going to switch back so I can play some more Timberman. I want to see if I can unlock something else. Nick Marota's here. Nick Marota.
Stop sharing there.
You can keep
Oh,
sharing.
I can
That's
keep.
fine.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because you can focus
Yeah,
on
you can keep
yours,
sharing.
right?
Yep, it'll just show up as a smaller window.
So Simon, I know you were talking and I kind of interrupted you. Got anything else you wanted to share or whatever?
No, I'm good. I'll just follow whatever you're gonna say.
Well, it is like you say, like what Nick Marentes had said earlier. It's nice to know that there are people making quality software for the CoCo that's of a high production value, high quality, and that there's people like Simon and other people who are helping out, who are helping with that process.
Sorry, I'm not doing very well over here.
Simon also helped. Lee Patterson a couple years ago when Lee Patterson was working on Bouncy Ball. That was one of the first new brew games from a relative unknown at the time that had hit the scene in a while. So Lee Patterson had done Bouncy Ball for the CoCo, ironically also based on a mobile game. A number of guys making CoCo games based on a mobile game. And you helped Lee with that too, didn't you, Simon?
Yeah, we took it from like 5 frames a second to over 50 frames a second.
Yeah, because he was originally doing that in a C cross compiler, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was actually using CMOC. So,
But I mean, the sharing of information kind of goes around too. I mean, I try to help people with the OS9 or Nitrous 9 questions, and I know Sockmasters help you and Nick both on the hyper advanced stuff that only he seems to know how to do.
The way Sock is my mentor, I am Paul's mentor, so it's kind of like giving it back.
Yeah, and Sock and you both have that teaching technique where you don't just blatantly say, here's how you should do it. You kind of get them to learn as they go so they understand it better.
Yeah, it's Sock's like, well, I'll tell you what, yeah, I give him a piece of code and he's like, well, yeah, okay. I can tell you how to do it, but you're not going to learn anything. So come back to me in a couple of days. There's plenty of stuff you could change. And it makes you think. And if you get really, really, really...
I unlocked something.
Really stuck, he'll give you a clue,
I bet it's the Madman.
That's it.
You've been playing for a while. Yep, there he is.
I unlocked the Madman.
Chopping the tree with
That's
the
him right
CoCo
there.
tree.
He's chopping a tree with the CoCo tree. That means I've just done
And the more chopping you do, does it get more
6,809.
yellowed or anything like that?
It's symbolic though, for sure.
And after a certain score, you retrowrite it or something?
It's funny.
I have unlocked the Madman.
There's a couple things with the background I wish I would have done a little differently, like some of the dithering and stuff. I think the shadows are kind of in a weird spot, I guess, but whatever. It looks cool anyway.
Yeah, it does. No,
Now, what resolution are you using on this? Because it's a lower than normal.
120. Yep, 128 by 112. So you set the video mode into 64-byte wide with 2 lines per row.
Okay, so that's similar to what Nick did on Gatecrasher, because I think he used 128 by 96 or something. I can't remember what exactly.
Yep, it's exactly the same resolution, just a few less. I have a few more lines than he did. Wasn't really, I guess, that necessary to have that resolution, but I'm kind of glad that I did.
But it gives you more opportunity to free up CPU time because you don't have so much stuff to copy. Like you said, you refresh the entire screen. So
yeah. Oh, I mean, I chose this resolution because I like the chunky look for this game. But yeah, it makes it so much easier to process the graphics faster. There was that one project that I'll probably still get back to this, but it was CoCo Warriors, like a fighting game that I was gonna put into. I think it was 32-byte widescreen, so 64, and then you do 8 lines per row, so you get almost a semi-graphics look. Yeah, what is that resolution? That would be, so 200 divided by 8 is 25 by 32. So you're talking about 800 bytes that you have to refresh. That would be like nothing.
yeah, at that point you might as well just do real-time 3D ray tracing or something.
Right. Oh man, that would be so cool.
Right Doom in that.
Well, that's one of the things I wanted to do was like, what is his name? Simon, the guy who did the other 3D demo that had like, it was more square and it didn't round off.
Oh,
like
and he also
solid.
did the texture mapping too.
Remy.
Yeah, Remy. Yes. For Buff Commando, we were thinking, because in the first level you go up to the top of this facility that they're manufacturing the weapons in, and you get in through a vent. So I thought it'd be cool in the second level to do a 3D like vent maze type thing with rats and other pickups and stuff as you go along the way, and then pop back out into the 2D world. So really kind of showcase some of the things that you can do.
Wolfenstein thingy.
Yeah. I mean, I know Gatecrasher already exists, and that's a sweet game in and of itself, but it'd be cool to kind of mix that with something else as well. So.
Sure.
Yeah, and if you do it with the texture mapping too, you're actually going a bit beyond Gatecrasher's graphics. So
I don't think that any of that's going to happen, but maybe.
We've done texture mapping, but yeah, well, he had to pull a lot of stops out.
Yeah, but if you just do like Wolfenstein did, they just texture map the walls. They didn't bother with ceilings and floor. You can cut it back down a little bit because Remy did the whole shebang.
Right. Yep. You can basically.
And you could make it 6309, which would help too. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. And then you can basically do like a gradient, you know, across the top and the bottom, using the roster to kind of create your ceiling and your floor, so to speak. If you know what I'm saying. So, yeah, there's lots of different possibilities.
And if I remember too, Remy used a higher res mode. He wasn't using a really low one on his.
No, he's probably on like 160 pixels wide.
Wow.
His the one with the texture mapping?
Yeah,
it's probably 100.
Oh yeah,
it's a higher res.
Higher res, yeah.
And I mean, if you cut that down drastically by using a lower res screen, you could cut the calculations and the redrawing, by 75%.
What did he? Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and if you kick out the ceiling and floor tile mappings, you're just doing walls, so it's more of a Wolfenstein style look. You might be able to get enough speed out of it.
That would be kind of cool. I don't know. I might have to do it now.
That's not might. It's not might.
I think he was running that at like 12 FPS or something, right?
No, not his full texture map. I was a little bit slower than that.
Was it slower than that?
His squared up one with the non fisheye look that Sox had, that one ran at around 15 or so, but his texture map one ran quite a bit slower.
Yeah, there was one thing I didn't like about the one, because it would draw like lines after you would see the frame. It would like do the correction to make the straight lines after the frame was drawn, I noticed, which was just a small detail, but it kind of was like, eh. But,
yeah, I mean, if you double buffered it, you should be able to just delay when you display the second screen until after you've done your corrections. But I'm not sure exactly how he wrote that, if it's all one screen and redrawing over top or what. We
got to connect with him. And
no, I've got Remy's part of the demo group.
Yeah, I know, but we haven't heard from him in a long time. So
yeah, because he had a Hedgehog game started and a whole bunch of stuff.
That's because
Mary Brothers, I should say.
Oh yeah,
in a long time.
He did the Mario Brothers demo, right? That one that scrolls across with the
8 sprites going, yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I remember seeing that about, 10 years ago and being like, wow, that would be cool to be able to do that stuff. Yeah. I wondered at the time too, I'm like, 16 color sprites. How do you do that without a transparency indicator? Well, now I know. Not that I've had to use a sprite with 16 colors in it, but you never know.
Son of a bitch.
That's all right, son.
All right.
Yeah, I know the 609 is getting more popular when we finally convinced Nick to actually try the chip out, and he's kind of fallen in love with it. It would be interesting to see what you guys can do with it too, because there's some, like your memory copies, for example, with the TFM command are like 2 to 3 times faster than stack blasting.
It's true, but one of my goals as a developer is to try and keep it as base level as possible.
Yeah, well, that was Nick's too. I mean, the only reason he's doing it now is that Gunstar was proving to be a bit too much without him dropping the quality of the game down below what he wanted to accept.
I don't know why that's true, though, because he's doing it in the same resolution that Timberman is. I don't know what all he's copying. Now, granted, he's probably going to have a lot more sprites than I do, but at the same time, the only sprites that aren't compiled on my game are the characters themselves, because switching them out required the amount of memory for each frame to take up the same amount of space, if you know what I'm trying to say. So they all had to be equal sizes. So those are being copied over from a buffer and transparency blitted basically as you go. The branches are all compiled, and so is the hand and the timer, and all the text is copied from a buffer. But I mean, we got a lot going on that screen too, and we're just using a stack blast to copy the entire background each frame. So
yeah, I'm guessing because he's got more sprites, he's got more collision detection, he's got shots and everything else too. I'm just imagining his overhead within is a bit higher.
He does have the shots, and he does have his collision detection will be much more precise than this.
And I think he's planning on horizontal scrolling too. Like the play screen's gonna be wider than the physical screen, so he's gonna have some scrolling back and forth as well.
Oh, sweet! That'll be cool.
At least last I heard, he's still in the planning stages somewhat, but
so like it's gonna go kind of beyond Galaga. So as you go left, you'll like scroll more into space as opposed to just having an edge.
Yeah, though it's from my understanding, it's gonna be more like his cosmic ambush with horizontal scrolling added to the vertical scrolling.
Ah, that'll be sweet.
Sort of a Xevious style, is what I understand anyway.
Oh wait, you said horizontal scrolling.
Well, both. He's doing both. He's got a play field that's wider than the screen, so you can go left and right a bit, and then you also have the vertical scroll at the same time.
Okay, all right, cool. The processing on that stuff doesn't take a whole lot though, because you're just manipulating a couple registers. Are you burned out, Steve?
No, my hands physically. I'm going to show off the artwork again for those who are just tuning in late or whatever. So we're playing Paul Thayer's Timberman for the Color Computer 3, which you can get on a beautiful physical SD card like this. Looks very, very nice.
It can go on the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, that actually looks like Rondell Vo. So we got Rondell Vo there. You can get a glossy, beautiful glossy manual with this, complete with pictures and an explanation of all the characters that you can unlock and all kinds of good stuff. Mine happens to be autographed. I'm not sure how well we can see that.
It's so glossy you can't see. That's how great
it is. Because of the light. That's the problem. There we go. So yeah, mine's actually autographed. There you go. Boom. Look at that. But yeah, this is very cool. So if you want to get a copy of this to play on a real CoCo 3 or run on an emulator, we made it convenient for you to contact Paul. You can go to 8bit256.com, click on software. There will be a link where you can email paul.g.thayer@gmail.com. And you can get it a couple different ways. You can get a digital download for free, right?
Yep.
You can get with just the disk image. You can get a digital download with digital manual for $5. And then you can get the physical copy with physical glossy manual, including all the digital stuff, for $20.
Yep,
right?
and the bonus game.
And the bonus game, Hotel Elevator.
And the middle option that you said there was $10. So
$10, $5. So you have $5 for
10 for digital disc and manual, and then 20 for digital disc, manual, printed, and everything delivered to your door, plus a bonus game.
There you go.
And
there you go.
Some kind man over in Denmark has a website set up to where you can download the game when you purchase it and play it while you wait for delivery.
There you go.
So
don't know anything about that.
So
the Madman, which we've unlocked. We've actually unlocked the Madman. So if you're not sure what the Madman looks like, he looks like this guy right here.
You haven't shown us the Easter egg yet, though, so I might have to play this game just so I can pop that out.
Yeah, because that's not any of the unlockable characters, is it, Paul?
No, it doesn't. They don't have the Easter egg. Does not have a shadow, which is part of why it's an Easter egg.
And it's not like the Doom ADDHD either.
So there's another character you can unlock that's not in the gallery here.
That is correct.
Okay.
And
and it's not Lizzie Borden.
I'm firing this up right now so that I can try and do it. I don't know how well this is going to go, but we'll see. One of the nice things about Timberman 2 is that it automatically, as long as you exit properly, will automatically save your progress. That was the other thing I was going to say that I wish I would have designed in was a way to reset your progress as well. There is a way to do it, but it's kind of a roundabout, crazy way. You basically, because we write to a disk sector instead of actually writing to a file to the directory or anything like that, we just scratch right onto a disk track.
Same one.
Which is what we're gonna do for future games too. Being able to store stuff on disk and not have it shown in the directory will be cool for Buff Commando, because I'm hoping, it's looking like right now I can keep that game in 128K as opposed to the 512 like I was originally thinking. Well, I was gonna go with 512 because I could have all this space for a huge level. But then I started doing level design, and I'm like, an 8K page for a level is, or like even 2 of them, is way huge. So, because if we're gonna go like 12 tiles tall, right? So you got, what does that say? Why are you saying move this away? What is that? 8192 divided by 12. That means you can go 682 tiles wide times 16. So that's 10,912 pixels. Sorry, I'm doing a bunch of math here. That's 85 screens in one 8K page. So it's looking like I'll be able to do it in 128K and just load the level data, like the change of tiles and whatever else, off the disk as you go. So that'll be cool, because there's probably not many who have CoCos left that don't have 512K, but anybody who does will be able to play. All right, so I'm starting fresh.
Oh my goodness! See if I can... And I'm gonna have to wrap this up in about 10 minutes or so, because I do have a date with my daughter. We got to do some more fishing. So I promised her we'd go fishing, and since the tropical storm looks like it's not gonna blow away our state, we're gonna take advantage of it.
Oh wow! I didn't realize it was getting so late already, Steve.
Yeah, no, it's good. I mean, well, last time I played for like 3 hours on Nick's game. I don't mind playing longer, but because of the time and because of we were planning on doing this, and she's got to go to school tomorrow.
Man, I'm getting rusty.
Yeah, but we will live stream our fishing adventures too. So from the phone, live from the phone. It's fishing adventures.
It's a live streaming day for you, huh?
Oh yeah. Yeah, last night she broke a record. She got one of the biggest fish in our local little pond that we go to. So,
what was that fish?
I don't even know what it was. It looked like one of the cichlids that we've been getting. There's these fish. They're not indigenous to Florida, but they're in our waterways. They're like African cichlids and Mayan cichlids, and they get pretty big. Yeah, and it looked like a giant version of one of those.
How big was it, Steve?
Twice as wide, like two of my hands put together, and its head and tail would still be on either side of it. So compared to a lot, because we're just fishing with bread and hooks, and so we're looking for like little crappies and bluegills and speckled perch and stuff, and so it's like much larger than the usual fish we've been getting.
Do not die. No,
don't die. He's already dude. You're already up to 330 whacks.
Go!
Holy!
Woo.
What's the magic number?
Like 407.
So something's already unlocked at 364.
For the Easter egg? The Easter egg, I think, is 350. I'm not positive.
350s. Okay, well, we're going to find out right now.
The magic number is like 406, 407. That's the maximum amount of chops I've been able to get. But
okay,
I've probably unlocked a few. Green shirt.
Yeah.
Jason. No, I didn't get it. Oh no!
I can't believe you got up to. I can't believe you got over 350 that first run. That's pretty damn good.
Well, I've played this game a lot, both on the CoCo and on the phone. But the problem I kept running into last time was my mouse would go outside of the emulator, and then I'd click on another window. That is not fun.
Oh, you're using a mouse?
Yeah, because I'm playing it in VCC and.
Yeah, I'm calling bullshit on this one because I use a deluxe joystick. I gave myself carpal tunnel and arthritis.
That is true. It's a lot. pretty arthritis. I actually destroyed one of my deluxe joysticks testing this game because it was oh my God, I just spent so much time testing on real hardware, making sure that everything unlocked right. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things. There's a lot of things to achieve, and I had to achieve all of them. So I spent several hours with the deluxe joystick to the point where my button was registering twice. I wore the shit out, man.
Yeah. Now I don't remember if you when you and I were talking about this a long time ago when you were still working on it. I said one of the cool things that you might be able to do with this on an emulator is if you ran this emulator on a computer that had touchscreen.
Yeah.
Then you literally could make this a touch-enabled, game through like Windows 10, touchscreen tablet with.
Should be able to work, I think. But the problem is that I don't know how you would register. Well, how it would register the joystick like position before the button hit. Damn it! Why am I sucking ass right now? I got the 364, and then I'm back down to like doing a stroke.
Yeah, you're being called Billy Mitchell right now for using the emulator. So
Billy Mitchell, what does that mean?
Billy Mitchell's the guy who had the Donkey Kong record, but they took it away because it was done on MAME. It wasn't official. So
I was trying to show him. Hey man, I've done all of this on a real CoCo, so everybody out there that hasn't even gotten nearly as far, they can kiss it. That's all right. Buy my game. Don't kiss my ass. It's fine. So, yeah, there was a lot of different things. We didn't go into like how we convert digital sound effects from the internet onto the CoCo, but it's a lot of the same process. We edit it in a audio editing software on the PC, convert it, and then another thing that Simon and I do, you probably notice how fast this one loads, is we try to compress everything into one file, and then it just decompresses in the program before you start playing. So less loading time. Dang it, it's not gonna happen today. The Easter egg is me. It's the picture I have up on
your profile picture. You holding your different type of axe, right? So, and
of course Jason Reigard, as soon as he unlocked everybody, sent me screenshots of all of it to let me know his progress, because that's the guy he is. Like, what are you sending it to me for? I've already been down there long before you bought a copy.
There was no mug with a rotating LED light or anything for this, though.
No. Well, that was, I think he sent me those pictures when we were having that CoCoTALK discussion about making a T-shirt for it and having somebody win.
Yeah. Sure.
And then as soon as we talked about having somebody win a T-shirt, he was like, "Here's all my progress."
He just wants to win every prize available.
Then he'll go wear that shit at a CoCo's Fest and stuff. It's all right. Some dude from Digital Melody will be in the mall someday and see Jason wearing a Timberman shirt, be like, "Hey, I don't remember making any merch for that game."
Right. Did I just exit the game too?
Yeah, because
I think I just exit.
Stupid game developer and his placement of buttons. Bad placement. But
what's the command to relaunch to CoCo SDC? EXP. Yeah, it's EXP.
What does that stand for?
CoCo Explorer.
Oh, Explorer. Got it.
Yeah. So
exponentiate something.
So before we wrap it up, is there any questions, comments? Curtis, Steve, Simon?
When's the OS9 version
it's
on
a fun game
coming out?
Yeah, right. No way.
ROM cartridge.
ROM cartridge, despite what John Linville says, would be too expensive because we'd have to put a flash in there for you to be able to save your progress, and I don't want to charge people $40 to $60 for a video game. So that's my thing on it. So it's one of the reasons.
I guess one question for you, kind of discussion earlier here, because like Nick finally feels that the amount of people that have 639s has crossed the threshold where it's worthwhile for him to produce. Is there a point where you would consider that too, or are you strictly just for nostalgia purposes going to stay 690 regardless?
I think there's a threshold that would get me to turn. One of those being I myself would do the upgrade. And I'm planning on doing that, and I'm gonna send it to Richard Lorbieski because I am not about to screw up my own computer that I can't get anymore. You know what I mean? I think once it's hard to tell because the active members of our community on Facebook anyway, a lot of them have already done it, but it's a question of like those non-active people that I get requests from for the game and stuff like that too, that I don't know what their hardware is.
I think it might be worthwhile waiting until Nick's done his, because this is going to be the first major 609 game release. I mean, there's been one other. Roger Taylor did Spider Hyper, but it's not much different than Spider Hype.
Yeah,
it just adds an extra, row of chambers, which was a little bit more harder, intense computer-wise to figure out what was happening while keeping the 4-voice music going. But it's not really a good show-off that can show what a 609 can do. It just basically let them make the game a bit more complex. So
yeah,
we'll have to see how fast Nick gets to his third Ferrari on this.
Right. I'm also, the thing is too, is I'm still learning 6809 assembly. I mean, there's so much that I don't know already. In 6309, although similar and just a few more opcodes and obviously less cycle times on a lot of the base opcodes that 6809 assembly has. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what it would take to get me to do it. Right now, we're comfortably making non-glitchy, fully polished, professional grade games using a 6809, and there's nothing really pulling me in any direction to need to go beyond that at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it might be where you get to the point of designing a game where you just can't cram it into a 689. That might be the turning point for you too, if you really want to get that game done. But
it might be, but I don't
probably design the games in mind with the 6809, so that's not going to happen right away.
I don't know. Like I said, I haven't seen that boundary yet. I mean, I kind of saw some of those boundaries in Timberman, but then throwing it Simon's way, and he's like, "What are you doing this for? You're taking too many cycles." And then he takes them out, and the thing runs at 60 frames per second. It's like, right now we haven't found our limits within the 6809, so I don't see any reason to do it yet. And honestly, trying to keep it in the 128K too. It's part of the challenge. As well as making it accessible to everybody, which is the biggest part of it,
Well, I'm not slamming you to come on, port it over. I'm not saying that. I didn't do that to Nick either, though he kind of claims that. But I saw Nick was trying to do some things, and there's some things he actually told me. He said, "Well, I was planning on doing this, and I tried it, even with stack blasting and everything else. I couldn't quite get it up to speed." I said, "Well, you could make a 609 version," and some other things were like, if you want a higher resolution.
Yeah.
Then you might need the extra speed type thing. But you said yourself you like this blocky look because it's more retro looking, so it may not be anything that interests you whatsoever to have to kick it up to like 320 by 225 or something.
Yeah. One of the reasons that that has a lot to do with why this is in its resolution is because of the blocky look. But like in Buff Commando, where I'm talking about resolution splits, I wasn't even gonna have it use any of this resolution, but I like the way that it kind of zooms in the world, so you're only able to see 6 by 8 tiles, I think, which is the height of basically a building in Buff Commando. So I was like, maybe we should use that resolution up on top and then split it off, because not only would that be cool to do that hardware trick, but it also kind of zooms the player into the action, so to speak. So I do want to eventually, though, get out of this resolution, because I might be sending off the message as a cop-out because it works so much faster. But Downland 2, I'm planning on doing in 256 by, I think, 200. I haven't seen really how I'm going to lay that screen out. I don't think it's going to be 192, and I don't think it's going to be 225. I think it's going to be 200. But yeah, that one will be in the full resolution. Something like that, a higher resolution. So that, and that's where it's really gonna, where I'm really gonna see it, is when I start doing Downland 2.
I just saw a comment from John Linville, probably talking about the Game Master cartridge and the cost of having to be able to save games. He said serial EEPROMs are cheap and DriveWire is free.
Mm.
And in serial EEPROM, does that mean it has a serial port built in? I'm not sure what that means. Or is that something you can just reprogram on the fly? John, if you want to answer that, I'm not quite sure what you mean there.
He sighed at me. I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't know enough to be able to speak on that, honestly, to John Linville. But I thought that there was some conversations that he had in the last few years where he mentioned flashes for memory storage and it being expensive. But maybe that's changed, or maybe that conversation was falsely recollected by me. Because, I mean, Ed's got that that one game cartridge that he made that has flash on it. And I think he gave that to me for, I bought that for like $30 or $40 or something like that.
You're talking about a sound cartridge.
Yeah, we need to develop some stuff.
Yeah, we need to whack that. But
yeah, but like I said, I like to keep it base level so that people don't have to buy a bunch of hardware to support playing a video game for a 30-year-old computer either. So. But,
okay, Mark and John are both saying I2C bus or SPI. This is starting to sound like David Ladd.
DriveWire.
See, that's getting a little complicated, man, to play a video game. That's what I'm talking about right there. I mean, maybe not to somebody or some people, but I wouldn't want to go through all that rigmarole. So
let's just stay pure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's talking about that would be built into the cartridge, into the chip itself, so it's not anything extra if you did make it.
Oh, got it. And then you use like DriveWire and some of that other stuff to kind of write to the EEPROMs, maybe?
Yeah, I'm guessing it must be like the CoCo SDC where you can update the firmware right on the CoCo itself. You just run the little program and it reprograms it with your update. So you don't need any extra cabling. You don't have to hook it up to a PC. You don't have to do any of that stuff. I'm guessing that's what he means.
Well, John, I know you make some wonderful video games. And your cartridges are definitely an option for you. Right now, I don't think it's anything I'm going to pursue, though. But
yeah, because if you want to go right to base, you'll have to do it for cassette.
Yep. So, because I like being able to...
With music while loading.
What's that?
With music while loading.
And faster loading times, too.
Yeah. Price mostly depends on programmer royalty. That's true, right?
It's free of charge. It's free of charge.
All right. My hands are shot.
Hands are shot. It's almost 5. This has been a really cool discussion. Thank you, Steve, for hosting.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, and hopefully this marathon will help sell a couple million copies of the game.
I just hope
Get
people
yourself a copy.
Learn some stuff from it too. In our discussion more than anything else. So.
Yeah.
Paul, are you gonna be able to make CoCo Fest this year? I know you weren't able to make it last year.
You know what, man? I'm really shooting for it. I really want to be there.
Because I do want to get that autographed copy in person. So
it's sitting over here waiting for you, collecting dust.
Come down to the show there. I'll pass you the money. You pass me the game.
Yes, I will hopefully be attending CoCo Fest. I know I will not be making Tandy Assembly though.
No, I can't make it to Tandy either. That time of year is still pretty bad for me for work.
Yeah. So. Thanks for everybody for watching.
Yeah, thank you, Simon Jonason, for joining us in Denmark. It is so it's about 10 p.m. for you, Simon. 11 p.m. All right. So the madman stays up much late.
And thanks to Nick for popping by, because it's morning on Tuesday for him to go to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nick's in the future in Australia.
Yeah, definitely. That's a guy's brain that I want to pick so bad, but I don't know. I don't know if
we could convince Stockmaster to write an original game. I'd like to see what he could do rather than just Donkey Kong or Donkey Kong Remix. I mean, that's somewhat original, but to see a brand new game by him that's just right from scratch, I'm going to take the CoCo and push it to its limits. Let's make a game based on that.
Yes, it would be really cool to see.
Yeah, I think he's probably too busy right now,
Yeah.
I've learned a lot from his demos, too.
Like that Moon Patrol 8 started and stuff that he never finished.
I used to ask Simon all the time, like, why do you do demos? Do something that, people can utilize. And he's like, well, you can utilize demos. You can learn what you can do with things. And he was right about that. But anyway, we gotta let Stevie go here. So
yeah,
it's good. Well, thank you all for being here. It's been fun. My hands are just shot. My hands are like freaking cramped.
Go fishing.
Yeah, we're gonna go fishing. But yeah, I think if anybody is interested in doing something on a cartridge, rather than speculating on what it's going to cost or what it can or cannot do, you should probably reach out to John Linville directly. and then he can talk to you about what are the technical capabilities, what are the production costs, all that kind of stuff. So I know at some point in time I would definitely like to have something I make on a cartridge. That's just, I think it would be kind of cool. But everybody's got their own goals in mind. Like some people want to keep their game pure and working on core hardware. Like I know that was one of Rick Adams' things. Like whatever he makes for the CoCo 3 needs to work on like a 128K machine, so it can be a stock implementation. So everybody's got their motivations for how they want to make their stuff.
Yep.
But what is nice to see is that things are being made, and it looks like Paul and Simon have a lot of coals in the fire right now too, with a lot of projects and stuff. So, and you got me interested in that. So, what is that game called? CoCo Bomb?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was not familiar with the game, so I'm gonna probably have to look for that one and try it out, and maybe get used to that as we wait on Paul's
It's
version.
kind of
similar
a
to
puzzle game, and it's. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just saying it was kind of similar to Bomb Threat in a way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in a way, you move some stuff around so that you can get out, things like that. So.
Yeah, try and move treasures to your treasure room, basically. There was an OS9 port I used to play all the time. Unfortunately, that's on the hard drive that crashed. It even had graphics for it, and you can design your own levels with a text editor.
That's pretty cool.
I know. All right, guys, so we're going to wrap this up, and I just want to remind everyone, if you want to get a copy of Timberman for real CoCo or for an emulator, you can email paul.g.thayer@gmail.com. I've also made a link conveniently for you to get to on 8bit256.com on the Retro Swag Shop, where there's a link that will have Paul's Gmail address there. It'll also link you to a YouTube video of me cursing and swearing as I try to play this game.
You have to make sure you mention the name of the game, though, because Steve curses and swears at just about every game he plays. So,
Timberman, starring Ron Delvaux.
And there is no unlockable Curtis with a mullet character.
No, but we're going to work on that.
Yet.
That's going to be my next game. It's going to be called A Mullet Named Curtis. It's going to be a story about a fish.
Timberman 2,
His name happens to be Curtis.
All right. Good day, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Thank you, everybody who watched. Hey, was Nick Marotta in the live chat by any chance? Anybody recall if Nick Marotta was here? Nick Marotta's here. John Linville has been here. Ken Reichert has been here. Al Hartman was here. Al Hartman says he recently ordered a copy of the game. And he wants to support the community, which is very nice. John Linville, Nick Marotta, Mark Overholzer, Nick Marotta, Mark Overholzer, John Linville, Nick Marotta, Curtis Boyle, Ken Reichert, Curtis Boyle, Mark Overholzer. Yeah, so you get the idea here, right? Nick Marotta. As we scroll back, Al Hartman was here. Diamond Starboy on Mixer was here. Tim Thayer, your brother, was here. And he said, yes, his wife was listening when you mentioned that. So,
great. Family turmoil.
Yes, Ken Reichert and Desert Flower on Mixer was here, as well as, who else was on here? All kinds of people here today. And Curtis Boyle was here. So, yep, thank you all who watched. And run out and grab yourself a copy of Timberman today. And this, just so you know, no trees were harmed in the making of this game. The rainforest is still safe. This is environmentally friendly. No GMOs, no animal testing, any of that kind of stuff. So, all right, my daughter is very impatiently waiting for me in the hallway saying, Dad, let's go. All right, guys, gotta run. Thank you all. Thank you, Simon Jonason. Thank you, Curtis Boyle. Thank you, Paul Thayer. And we'll see you next time, guys. Take care.